right. All right. So I have on this call with me Henry Ibrahim. So typically, what I wanted to do on this podcast series, right? My idea is, like I mentioned, it's a special podcast series where we want to document the learnings and the lessons from young people who have been on the ballot box in previous elections. The goal is to document the real experiences of young people who, at one point or the other, contested for public office. Let's capture if for lack of better word, the challenges and the specific lessons that are often not publicly accessible to other young candidates who will be considering running for offices, right? So on this podcast, on this special edition, I have Ibrahim Henry, who contested the 2023 State House of Assembly election as the Labour Party candidate in Adamawa State. Thank you, Henry, for the time to be on this series this day. So maybe as a way to start, you want to give us a background of who Henry Ibrahim is, and then first I would like to know what specific moments or experience made you decide, you know what, I'm going to run for office.
All right, once more, thank you, and thank you, viewers. My name is Henry Ibrahim Kwataden, just like you rightly mentioned, from Adamawa State, and particularly from Mayo Belwa local government. And I contested in the 2023 general elections to have the opportunity to represent the good people of Mayo Belwa constituency in the Adamawa State House of Assembly under the banner of the Labour Party, as it were. And till moment, for the records, I'm a member of the Labour Party, but anything can happen. You know, the Nigerian politics is in a state of flux now. And, you know, what you sleep with might not necessarily be what you're going to wake up with in the morning. And to attempt the second question, what actually made me to contest? I think I could remember 2020 or 2021, thereabout. Two of my friends and I were actually having a conversation. And at that moment, the member representing my constituency in the State House of Assembly happened to be somebody who can neither read nor write. And these two of my friends were actually in the university then. I visited them in the, then Modibo Adama University of Technology, now Modibo Adama University, Yola. And we were having a conversation. I was like, but look at what is happening in the whole of our constituency or in the whole of our local government. Does that mean that this is the best we can offer? We're talking about a lawmaker who is going to represent hundreds of thousands of people in the State House of Assembly. And this is a fellow that can neither read nor write in the language or in the official language of communication in the Assembly. And we're like, then what does it take for one to become a member of State House of Assembly? So we now started the conversation like joke. And my friends were like, we can challenge this. I said, how? They said, let's just start mobilizing. And then we decided there and then, okay, who should we, put, as the front liner? And, the onus was laid on me to, take the lead. And I accepted it. We hit the ground. Immediately, we went back home to our constituency. We started consulting, particularly the youth population. We started with our close friends, sell the idea to them so that they would buy and catch the vision first. So that when we have a group of, passionate young people who are also angry with the way things are going, in our community, I think we are on the right footing to begin that journey, towards, representing our people. And, as God will have it, we are a people of faith. And, funny enough, these two friends of mine are Muslims, while I'm the only Christian in the three of us. So we committed everything to prayer. I asked them to just go and pray about it. I'll also go and pray about it. And if it is God's will, we will do it. And no matter what, we don't have a political godfather. In case we will give it a try, so that at least there should be a dissenting voice. There should be, an alternative to the people. So it won't be like we've been already, how will I make it now? That we've been conquered by this political class, right? So there should be an alternative. So we started and we went round and near. In fact, we gave one of the longest campaign trail as far as the history of my constituency is concerned, because we knew we had no money, and we knew we may not have the wherewithal to bulldoze our way into the mainstream political parties that we had,
Yeah.
as it were. So what we needed
Yeah.
to do was to get a political party that is upcoming, that we can actually control the mechanisms within the party and the structure, so that we can, eventually emerge. And funny enough, many people don't, many of us had been in the Labour Party even before the OB wave. I've been in the Labour Party since 2021. I started
Wow.
consulting. I met with the chairman in my state, who was then a caretaker. We're doing a lot of things. I was supporting him because he's also somebody that's like, that's my representative that can neither read nor write, but he has the passion. He wants to hold the party at the state level, a lot of issues. So I was around him to support him, since I was living somewhere around the state capital. That was how we tried to gather, some momentum, and then put the party on the right pedestal, ready for the next elections, before we started the issues of Congress, and when candidates began to troop into the party because they had no, leveled playing ground in other political parties that they went to actually contest. So at the end of the day, we now decided to settle for the same Labour Party. Reason being that we don't have the money to do the primaries in either PDP or APC, as the case may be then. So, and we do not have the blessings of the political godfathers. We have consulted some of the stakeholders and the decision makers in our constituency then, informing them of our intention to run. But sometimes, there's this Hausa adage that says "Labarin zuciya atambayi fuska," meaning if you want to know what is happening in someone's heart, you look at the face. So usually their facial expressions will tell us what is running in their minds. So it's like, oh, this guy is a young man, and they think they have gone to school. They may not be loyalists. So there was one stakeholder that we went and met, and he categorically told us that, well, no problem. The only problem they have is that they don't want people that tomorrow they will not be loyal to all this and that. He cited example of people they've supported in the past and what have you. And there and then I was nodding in my mind. So when we left there, I was telling my friends, I said, bro, we're not coming back here, because even if we're coming back here, I cannot cage my destiny to this man, because this is somebody too who just mistakenly found himself in power, or maybe resources, misplaced their way and came to his, to him. So, and then you will expect me with my faculty intact to come and be, sheepishly submitting to this kind of people that only think about their immediate environment and their immediate family, as the case may be. So that's the background, and that's how we started the journey. I went to my local government, organized the structure of the party, and made sure that I follow the guidelines of the INEC to ensure that I meet with the guidelines, and particularly the timetable. I went to my constituency, did the Congress as a candidate. I was the one sponsoring the party. I had no money. I need to state that clearly. What was I doing? I was just fresh from school, finished my degree, I think around 2021, 2022, because of the COVID, it extended to late 2022. So, and what was I doing? I was a lesson teacher, a home lesson teacher. And maybe for the records, my take home at the end of the month was not more than 25,000 naira for the two jobs I was running at that moment. I resorted to goodwill, writing letters to people that I know in my church community, people who believed in me, who know what I can do and stuff like that. And then at some point, my family members came, in for me, coming from a very humble background, just to state too. But at the same time, no matter how little it is, people kept in, sending in their support and resources, because they know who I am. They know I cannot just start doing something that I don't believe in, right? So we did the congresses. The state executives emerged. I made sure that I planted my loyalists at the local government level. My friends that believed in the vision, we made sure that they are the ones holding the positions in case, because we know these people are smart. When elections actually approach, and it's a bit about around the corner, people who have lost primary elections in other political parties would want to go to other parties to hijack, because they have the money and they have all what it takes to woo people or to cajole people or even to bully people out of the party, as we have been seeing happening. So I made sure that people that we've given the leadership of the party are people whose loyalties may not necessarily be bought, except in rare cases. So that is how we were
mm,
able to scale through. I emerged as the sole candidate of my party because there was no contender, not because we
mm,
denied, nobody bought the form. And
mm.
the form itself, I don't know whether I've answered your question and I'm going into other things entirely.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's interesting to hear some of the things. I mean, I know that we're going to touch on some of the things you've said around. For
Uh-huh.
example, there's that sense of there's that fear. A lot of young people beyond the numbers that we saw, contest for elections in the last electoral cycle, right? There's if you go
Yeah.
around local areas, there's that sense of many people who, as against what you just shared, from a humble background, no hedge funds, no godfather, they feel like that's a limiting barrier, or that's a stumbling block for
Mm.
them to seek electoral offices and to run for what they believe to be the ideal at that time, right? I mean, take for example, why would somebody who does not know how to read and write represent a constituency? That can be a spark.
Mm.
But again, there can be that level of, I don't have money, I don't have any godfather, that is stopping many other young persons from running for office. And that's why your story is very important, right?
Yeah.
At the back of what you just explained, I wanted to know how you felt, right, when you declared that you were going to run. I mean, did you feel truly ready, or you just stepped forward despite the uncertainties around, around the electoral cycle?
The truth is great. There was fear when I declared. I could remember my declaration day. I sat down, and what I did was, I've never been into active politics. All along, I was just voting. I was in 2019, I was a very ardent supporter of the Atiku Obi ticket. It stopped there. At the
Mm,
gubernatorial elections, I had no much interest. My attention was usually at the center. So I will
yeah.
only go and exercise my franchise during elections and what have you. So on the day of my declaration, what I did was I looked at Atiku's declaration speech. I
Mm,
studied it, the structure. So,
mm,
okay. Then I sat down and also formed my own declaration speech.
mm,
Right. I
mm,
study the structure, then I localize it. I look at the specific issues surrounding my community and constituency, as the case may be, and I address these issues, serving as the bedrock or the background or the propelling force for me to actually declare, to run for that office. We
mm,
mobilized with the little resources we had, and I was amazed at the number of the people that turned out for that event. And it was just by the
mm,
roadside. The office I actually was using as the party office, and at the same time my campaign office, was just one room by the roadside. We
mm,
struggled to even paint the front of the office. The side of it is even not plastered because it's actually the house was built with a mud block. You could
okay.
get the picture of what I'm talking about now.
Yes. Yeah.
So people came out. I had no car, but fortunately, 2021 ending thereabout, a friend of mine bought a car, one small car like that. So that was the car I
Mm,
used. They carried me down from the state capital down to my local government. So on entrance to the town, people say, "No, I shouldn't come in. I should wait there. They will mobilize people to come and welcome me." And that was
mm,
how the propaganda in politics and what have you. We shook the town. We
mm,
came and I gave my speech in English. I invited the media and everything. So people were like, they've never seen this kind of person in my life. They've never seen this kind of candidates. Look at the way this boy is speaking.
mm,
Look at his confidence. Who is standing for him? So the next question that people were asking me, somebody must be behind this boy. Somebody is sponsoring
yeah.
this boy. You cannot just
Yeah.
come because people know where I'm coming from. People know my
Mm,
parents. People know my family. My dad stays in a round hut, a
mm,
moat touch house. You understand? I am somebody who cannot raise 1
mm,
million naira. And I want to contest for State House of Assembly. They think there is more to what meets the eye. And well, I don't care.
yeah.
I think this is the right thing to do. Let them continue to, wander in that mystery as we continue to roll.
Yeah.
So we made the declaration, but I kept on asking myself, is it worth it? Am I going to
Mm,
succeed? How
mm,
am I going to win this election? Do I have the money to run the campaigns? I don't even have a
mm,
car to move around. So what
mm,
will I use for my campaigns? Do I have the money
mm,
to mobilize agents in all the 102 polling units in my constituency? How
mm,
many people can I be able to add, to convince to vote for me without necessarily giving them money? Because my weapon at that moment is my voice.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
committed that to prayer. I said, God, you know, I have no resource. I have no resources. The only thing you have given me is my ability to talk to people. So, Lord, before I go, melt every heart that I talk to. Let them
Mm,
understand. Let them see it
mm,
from my own perspective. So that
mm.
was my resource, as the case may be. So the fear was there. I panicked all night, but I kept on going regardless because I felt
Yeah.
something different has to be done. And that
Yeah.
was how we ran that election, campaign, the pre-election itself, then the election. Then we now talk about the post-election itself. So there are different experiences. From the
Interesting.
pre-election, there's a different set of experience.
Yeah.
During the election season, there is another intense set of experience, very emotional at that. Sometimes life-threatening experiences. Then the
Mm,
post-elections, those filled with regrets at some of the decisions you have made and taken, and the out of some of the advice that you actually received and worked with from other people that you blame yourself that you couldn't have actually made use of that advice. And then regret from maybe betrayal from friends that you felt
mm,
would have stood for you, and people
mm.
who actually sold you out, as the case may be, during the elections for peanuts and whatever may be the case. So at every point in time, there are different feelings and emotions that flow with it.
Perfect. Perfect. I mean, I like the fact that I like the fact that this is coming animated, right? It's real,
Mm.
I'm sure we're going to come to the what happened during the election cycle, what happened during the post-election cycle. But I like the fact that it's coming from you to say you didn't have everything all figured out. I mean, you didn't even know what was going to happen next, where your next 1 million is going to come from. You didn't plan who was going to give you a car. It looks like you just had to make that declaration, and then people who are not of faith will say that the earth, or the society, or the world backed you up, right? I mean, people of faith will say that God provided everything along the
Very
way, and
true.
so
Mm.
sometimes that's
Mm.
a big lesson, that sometimes the analysis that we do can actually stop us from taking that first
Yeah.
bold move, that
Mm.
we need to make. And then and it's also important to hear from you that the fear would always be there, but that spark, that initial spark that made you say, you know what, we've got to do this, we've got to change something, kept you and focused. I also like the fact that you mentioned that you had to look at a similar declaration speech that had been made by someone else who ran for an office at the center, and then you try to model and then make it localized. So that would form my next question, because you said you had to put together your speech, make it localized, just so that they could relate with what you are trying to bring to the table. What problem were
Mm.
you trying to solve,
Yeah.
and why, running for the House of Assembly, the State House of Assembly election under the Labour Party, in Adamawa State, would be the right path for you to solve that problem?
The first is education. Um, I actually have not. I had wanted to ask you for heads up before we started this conversation so that I could prepare my materials and what have you. But I like it's coming natural. Yeah. So I would have shown you. I think I have it on my system. Some of the schools. In fact, just a few minutes before we started this call, I was reminiscing some of the experience, and also went through my archives to see the pictures that I took from different communities. And one of it was a
Mm,
school, and that school is actually a school on paper. So it's just a
mm,
bare land, but it's existing as a school. And there are teachers posted to that school on paper. So what
wow.
actually happened in that community is the community members now decided to build a mud house, and a mud, can I call it house or just round huts, using grasses or thatch to roof it.
Mm,
And that forms the school that these children are going to. The primary 1, 2, 3 will be under 3. Then 4, 5, 6 are the ones inside those rooms. And you need to
mm,
look at that community. And then I grew up in a community whereby we had issues accessing water. Till date, as I'm talking to you, my own community, 25 liter of water goes for 100 naira. I'm not talking about a population whose daily income does not, exceed 1,000. $1 per day.
Mm.
when at $1, whether now or whether under Buhari or whether under Jonathan.
Mm.
So you could imagine if somebody has a family of 5, 6, 7, how much is it going to spend to actually access water?
Afford water. Mm.
And not just even the water, but the water is even hygiene.
Mm.
Is the water, fit for consumption? That's another story entirely. So
Mm.
you see this issue of water, you see this issue of education. I was thinking, okay, as a House of Assembly member, at least I made my small, studies that, okay, there is what they call constituency allowance. At
Yeah.
least you can use that one to fix small issues of small water, or maybe,
Yeah.
and then I can
Yeah.
also influence the Ministry of Education in my state to, pay attention to the schools in my community.
Mm.
The budgets that will be, channeled to the Ministry of Education, I'll make sure I track it so that it is properly used for the purpose for which it is meant, and particularly
Mm.
to lobby for other projects for my community to, address that issue of education. In many rural communities, people trek for miles to go to school. I did
Mm.
that, though mine was a bit, moderate, because I lived in the, town. So I've known my friends who travel from some villages that they will trek 13, 12 kilometers to come to school every day and go back, because there is no school in that community. And I
Mm.
have gone to other communities that they will have to trek for 3, 7 kilometers to get water and come back.
Mm.
It's a daily routine, particularly during the dry season. You get the point.
Mm.
These are the
Yeah.
things on my list that if at least I can go there and I can model. Secondly, is about moral issues or
Mm.
etiquette of politicians. I can model how a politician is supposed to live with his people. How are we supposed to relate with the people who gave us the mandate? Are we supposed
Mm.
to appear like some demigods to them, that
Mm.
we crave for worship every day, that people have to come, hand to mouth, begging, and then, subjecting to themselves to some inhumane, situation before we could actually help them or, support them, as the case may be. And also to let
Mm.
people know that this is the right way to do things, not the way we have been doing it, that it has been normalized. What do I mean? That a politician must be stickingly rich before he actually finishes his tenure or not.
Mm.
Those are the issues that I wanted. We wanted to model a part, so that when we are there, we will let people know that politics is our second address. We will go
Mhm.
into, we have other things to live on, but this is like a calling. We have other things that we are surviving on, but this one is service to our community or to our society or to humanity, as the case may be. So it's not like it is our, it is our career or profession per se. No, we should have, first address. Politics should be about passion and call for service. You get the point? So these are the things that I
Yeah.
had wanted. The first thing is about this issue of education, water, which I have
Water.
lived in that experience. And I knew
Yeah.
as a member State House of Assembly, I can have the whatever, however meager it is, the resources, it will be reflecting, in the society. People will see the difference that, okay, this thing is doable. How much is to sink one borehole in one community? So
Mm.
these are the topmost, issues: education and water, influencing
Mm.
policies that has to do with people accessing good quality water in my community, and then also lobbying, particularly the governor, state governor, and then the
Mm.
commissioner that is in charge of those two ministries, to ensure that the resources that are meant to be pushed or channeled or allocated to those areas are done necessarily. And I had already taken it upon myself to be a rebel in the house, because usually
Mm.
what happens is that State House of Assembly members becomes errand boy to governors. Whatever the
Mm.
government brings to pass, I had decided I'm going to be a dissenting voice in that assembly. And secondly,
Mm.
I had also seen how other menial staff, if I can use that language for lack of better one, I treated, or their remunerations, the salary. Take for example a cleaner in the State of Assembly, or a cleaner in the government house, or a driver in any government parastatal and what have you. Those people will travel with, for on an official assignment. They will lodge in a good hotel. The driver will sleep in the car.
Mm. Mm.
And these are people who drive you, whose your life is in his hands, as far as
Yeah.
he's your driver. He can decide to, just kill you. Your cleaner access your room and everything, but we look at them. So I was trying to find a way how I can, at my own level, at the state level, to, if not, make it equal, but there should be some sort of equity in how staffs are treated in the civil service, so that everybody will have that sense of, honor and dignity for what he does. And also, going back to that issue of education, you look at primary school teachers, since it is under the ambit of the state government, how are they treated?
Yes.
What is their salary remuneration? And then how many of them even go to work? Just like I was telling you, that school that I went to, there are people who are being paid, but they're in the city. They're either in Yola, the state capital, or they're in, local government, headquarters. They don't go to those villages because they had somebody they knew and they got employed into this, state service. You get the point. So these were some things I wanted to tackle headlong. I don't care, because I knew my mandate was coming from the people. So I had I don't care whose ox is going to be got by my attitudes or by my actions or by my policies or my pursuits, as the case may be. So these were some, passionate issues that actually made me to say, okay, guy, we need to do this. And when we go to do this, we need to do it. We live once. So we may set the example, whether even if it's going to cost us our life, but we have to set the pace so that others can actually follow subsequently.
Interesting. Interesting, Henry. And one of the beautiful thing about the effect of the not too young to run bill, which metamorphosed into the likes of the young candidate that we are seeing right now, is the reality that that is dawning on the older generation, that the traditional sense or definition of leadership as they know it is already collapsing, which is that they, like you explained, some of these politicians now see themselves as demigods. And then for you, from what I hear you say, it's a sense of having you in that scene is modeling ethical leadership and show how different servant leadership can be, right? And you are seeing it more of beyond just coming in to solve the educational problems that we have, beyond coming in to just solve the water issues that we have. It's about also modeling ethical leadership and make people, the citizenry, see that leadership is a call for service, right? And not a call for me to say that I've now arrived and then I can now do what I feel I feel that should be done, right? So I wanted to ask you, based on your experience right now, having run for office, what did before you ran, what was your perspective about politics? What did you think politics would be like? And then how different is reality? Or how did reality differ from what you perceived it to be?
Yeah. Actually, that's being an active player has actually helped to change my perception about politics entirely, because it is now what they say reality.com to me. The truth is, I had thought that politics is about the who's and who in the society. You must be coming from a political lineage or lineage, as the case may be, or you must have a godfather, or you must be somebody who has a very deep pocket. And I also thought that politics is reserved for some, set of people. And I must mention this. I'm coming from the north and being a Christian, and not a Hausa nor Fulani speaking guy. I have my own tribe, which is called Mumuye. And for us here, they call us the minorities in the northern Nigeria, which, recently has been a subject of debate, right? So we have decided to call ourselves the ethnic nationalities. And for us, right from the amalgamation down to the independence, it is believed that the colonials left power or in the hands of the House of Fulanis, particularly in the northern Nigeria, right? Now, in the northern Nigeria, it is widely believed that the civil servants and the technocrats are the other ethnic nationalities and the Christian population. They run the civil service. They are the think tanks. But when we talk about those with the levers of power, it is either the House of Fulanis or the Muslims, as the case may be, when we talk about faith now, again, right? So those are my preconceived notions and perspective about what
Yeah,
politics is,
perspectives.
particularly narrowing it down to the part of the
Mm,
globe I am coming from, right? So,
yeah.
but when, as you continue to grow and then you interact with people outside your own, world, you will get to know that, it is not just all that it is. There is more to it. I mean, to it.
Mm,
So I now know that, okay, we can challenge the status quo. What we need to
mhm,
do, they say politics is a game of number. If that is the
mm,
case, okay, I usually tell my people during the campaigns, I say, angels do not come to vote. So if you like,
mm,
you pray from here till thy kingdom come. No miracle will
mm,
happen on the days of polls. Angels do not come down and cast ballots. People do. And if people do, how many are they, those that lord it over us? The
mm,
politicians, the elites, the leaders, count all the governors, the ministers, and
yeah.
everybody. They are an insignificant number compared
Number.
to the
Yeah.
power of the masses. So if
Yes.
the power is really the power of the people can mobilize and then choose who becomes what tomorrow. So
Yeah.
that was my ideal. I decided that I must implant this in the mind of everybody that cares to listen to me. Let him know or let her know that it is in your power to decide who governs you. And that,
Mhm,
was what made me to continue to move, to mobilize, to strategize, to expand, and to also, network with other people of like mind so that we can actually, draw people to our own side. So entering into politics, practicing this ideal that I've actually believed subsequently has helped me to dismantle that idea that politics is
mm,
reserved for some particular class of people. I now knew that
mm,
with the right strategy and with
mm,
persistence, one can actually become whatever he wants to be,
mm,
should destiny shines on him.
mm,
Right. So
mm,
that has actually helped to change my perspective about, you must have a godfather. The godfather factor still plays, but
mm,
there are exceptions. And nature will usually give room for exceptions. God
mm,
will usually interfere or intervene in the affairs of man. You get the
mm.
point. So until man makes the move, uh, they said there is the sovereignty of God and there is the responsibility of man. So if we are
Yes.
not responsible, God will not, show his sovereignty over that which we want
Yes.
to actually achieve at the end of the day.
Yes.
So that has been my understanding after joining politics,
Yeah.
real time.
Amazing. Amazing. So let's talk about your party experience. I mean, you decided to run under Labour Party. I don't know if you had any experience before. I mean, in other political party before joining Labour Party. But let's talk about your experience. What did your experience teach you? I mean, within Labour Party, within the party structure, power structure. What did your experience teach you about how power actually works within the political party system?
As far as Nigerian political parties are concerned, they are virtually the same, sir. They are
Mm,
never ideologically driven.
mm,
The only person you can trust, in fact, is there any person you can trust in the parties? That is the challenge. So that's why I told you when I started, I made sure that the people that actually are manning the political positions or the executive positions in my party are my
yeah.
close allies. Those people we
Mm,
started the struggle together. Those people
mm,
who we are moved by the same force or vision that is
vision.
fueling our. You understand? So I made sure that they occupy that while I do the flag bearing. But
Mm,
there are other people that no matter what, they view politics as an avenue to make money.
mm, mm.
Particularly, they need to be in a political party because they know candidates are coming with money to come and
Yes.
share for them.
Yes. Yes.
They think it is their time to settle themselves in life. So as they struggle to become party executives because they know many politicians will be visiting the party office and many politicians want to lobby them so that they can be delegates for them during the primaries and what have you. So it's an opportunity for them to actually make money. They
Mm,
do not care about the common good of the citizenry. They
mm,
only care about, themselves. There's this, household line that also said that Indu say meaning if a stone is coming to you and if it eventually passes your head, you don't care, let it fall under anybody.
mm,
You get
mm,
the point. So that is one thing with those guys. So they go there, all their agenda is to get money. Their agenda is to, be rich, and they can be very, very hypocritical. I have not ever seen set of hypocritic people like those party people. They are for everybody in the party, but their heart is for the highest bidder. They are never moved by your eloquence. You are never moved by the sound idea or the policies or the soundness of your manifesto. No. Anybody who can offer the highest bid, they can go with him or her. So that's, I have known even before I ventured into active politics, because of my little romance with people who have been into, politics and whatever. So I decided to guard against that by ensuring that the people that will call the shot, that will decide what happens in the party, are people I can trust, and people that cannot trade my relationship for that benefit. No matter how in a society there are people that cannot afford to, lose you as a person to what they may intend to gain, So these are the, mechanisms that are actually put in place to curb against that. But generally speaking, we had issue at the party, particularly at the state level, which also contributed to our failure in the election. Because when you do not have a strong party structure, and this issue of structure that politicians I keep on drumming in our ears, it's actually real, sir. You cannot win election without structure. Yes, you may have supporters. You may have organic supporters that will go and cast the ballot, but you need vanguards. Vanguards are the structures, people who don't care. Like I think TDJs will classify 3 kinds of friends: the confidants, the comrades, and what have you. These guys are like comrades to you. They may not necessarily believe in your own ideal as a person, but they're interested in the party because they believe if the party wins, it is goodies for them. So they don't care who is flagging the party's, flag at the polls. All they need is to deliver their units, to deliver their polls. Because if their party wins, they keep on getting some small, tips and money coming to them, as upkeep before the next election, as the case may be. So those people were some of the experiences that I had that, I till now, well, it's actually a positive one, that if I am going back to the polls, I'll make sure that in every polling unit, I have not less than 3 people that I know one-on-one, particularly since I'm, running for a very small constituency of just 102 polling units. So you can't say that of a presidential candidate or a gubernatorial candidate is not actually, realistic. But you will be able to have people you trust who will cascade that trust, phenomenon down to the polling units. So if I have these 3 people, you multiply it by 102 polling units, where we have like 309 votes already. So these people, I will give them a mandate to influence not less than 10 to 20 people. And one thing is true, it may be, unintentional, that you're going to lie to these people, but that lie is unintentional to harm them, meaning it is a harmless lie. What is this? To raise their hope. If you deliver your polling units, if we win, you stand to get this. You stand to benefit this. But the reality is that you may not have the ability to do all these promises. But you should promise what is somehow reasonably acceptable to them. Because you cannot promise each of them a car. Reason cannot hold it. But you can promise them that if I get to power, you may likely get job. I may likely influence, a project in your community. And I will tell the whole community
it's not a lie, actually.
Yeah, you understand? It's a result of it. What I'm saying is
it's a possibility.
What I'm trying to say is that in reality, you may not be able to keep all the promises. You get the point? So that's where I'm coming. I'm coming from a moralistic perspective, right? So because you have plethora of people that you have made the same promise to, and you're going there to face a reality of a meager resources with competing demands on them. You get the gist? So if you get these people, you work with them, give them a hope, promise them, they will go to the ends of the earth for you to ensure that your party actually wins at the polls, because they are running on hope, they are running on promise, and they're running on the expectation that tomorrow their life will change. They have access to somebody who is in power For someone to call you as a member of State House of Assembly and for you to pick in the maybe in the cycle of his friends, don't you see, he's the member, I'm calling him and he's picking my call, he's my friend. That's enough for him. You get the point. So that is one of the experience I had at the party level, and also a lesson that I've actually learned, which has cost me, the election. I knew I should do that, but I had because there are people that no matter how, you need to mobilize them. You need to mobilize them. They have to be in the polling unit from morning to evening. At least they need to eat, they need to drink. They need airtime for communication and what have you. Some of them have families. They need something to put at home before they go and spend the whole day, 2 days or 3, trying to safeguard your elections. So there's where the issue of structure, logistics, resources comes into play at the party level. So it is the whole thing about system, building a system. The party is supposed to give you a system that you will run on, so that it doesn't matter who. You may not necessarily know everybody, but because the party is moved by an ideal, which unfortunately we said we don't have parties that are moved by ideal, but the ideal here for us is winning election. So they do that for you, and they turn whatever's turned for you.
So I think that's where the bigger parties like the APC and the PDP always have an edge, and that's where, like you mentioned, when people keep saying, do your party have structure? Do your party have structure? I think you just clarified what that structure means. Is having people who can stand as comrades to represent that party, not necessarily so they are moving so far. And that's why you think that you see a lot of, I think that's why we had more people within the Labour Party wave, like they called it, right? And then the concern was, how do we convert these organic supports or organic supporters to structures? Right, it's a big thing. It's a big thing. And then I like the fact that we are even mentioning numbers. For example, we are giving scenarios having 3 persons per polling unit that can deliver, and 3 persons you can trust per polling unit that can deliver both your votes and can also stand as a vanguard, as a comrade, for your election. And I like the fact, which is where I want to really just talk about, because I wanted to learn your experience from your campaign, because I know from the little work that I've done on the field that running election costs money, mobilization. People who are going to stand for you are not jobless. They are going to leave, and if they are going to leave whatever jobs that they have, for your election. Your election. How do you go about ensuring that they have the resources, knowing fully well that you are also running your campaign on a tight budget? How did you approach building your own campaign organically? You started talking about it earlier, but I want us to really just dig deeper into it. Raising the team, messaging, voter engagement, and all of those things. What was your experience like?
I just like I told you, my budget was not just tight. In fact, there was no even budget. I was running on faith, bro. I was running on faith, because at some point when I sat down and did my little budget in my own little mind, I never knew that running the office of House of Assembly member in my constituency, you must spend not less than 50 million naira.
Wow.
I sat down and did my own budget. It was a 10% budget of that. What was the budget? After all, I got the forms, everything, and I said, let me just do, in case somebody will want to help me tomorrow and say, okay, what is your blueprint? Let me just scribble something on the, and then present to him, sir, this is it, I need this for this, I need this for this. I scribbled everything. Everything was around 5-point-something million naira. Though the inflation was not that bad like now, right?
Yes.
So
yes,
at least 5-point-something million naira, you could do small, 1 or 2 things with. So, and one of the guys that was following me, because he has been in campaigns of other politicians and then senators and whatever, and he saw it. I said, this is it. He said, what is this? That's why you can spend it in 1 day now. I said, this is 5-point-something million. He said, this is nothing. He said, I bet don't even show the people this thing. It was like, this money never even hit my account. You're saying I shouldn't show anybody. So for me, when I understood that, I wrote on a magazine, and that magazine is, if you can touch the heart, it is easier to pull the hand. Right? If you can touch the heart, it is easier to pull the hand. So I made sure that I touched the heart of all the people I was working with, my close allies. In my nothingness, whatever happens to each of them, I was there for them. I supported, and they knew I was struggling to support them too. So they knew
Yeah.
I had made sacrifices for them, and they know I am real and I'm genuine. And there was everything about me was transparent, and I was trying to maintain integrity. What I say I'm
Mm.
going to do, I make sure I do it. If I don't do it, I give explanation, or I explain to you why I was unable to do that. So everybody, in my team, particularly those that can actually suspend whatever they do, we go to nooks and crannies and villages with them. They knew that I was willing to sacrifice everything for anyone in the team. I was the last to even eat when we go out for campaigns and whatever. They say, no, don't be doing this. I say, yes, let's start to practice it now, and all this
Mm.
and that, right? So that aside, but still, I knew some of them were married. I
Mm.
was single then. So I knew they needed some, because I knew they were doing virtually also nothing. They were just struggling. People that have to go out today, struggle and get something for the family tomorrow, like that, and you are suspending. He has a wife and maybe a kids or two. Many of us were, all young men. So I decided the small money I was getting support. Before we go, I have virtually some of their account numbers. I'll just send some
Mm.
money. Yeah.
Mm.
Alpha, I've seen money. For what? I say, no, just use it and do whatever you want to do. Somebody just dash me money. I think I cannot,
Mm.
spend it alone. So that I
Mm.
will not make him feel I'm doing this a favor, or let it just be
Yeah.
like casually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, when we come back, sometimes I will ask anybody, does anybody has any issue that we should
Mm.
settle together?
Mm.
Everybody will be quiet. So
Mm.
sometimes from one's continence, somebody has issues. I'll also
Yeah.
direct, money into that person account. Or I'll just there and then, if we have cash remaining, because you go to the villages, you don't have to do bank transfer, blah. So sometimes you have to go with the small cash you have. Okay, I say, okay, today after we've taken fuel for so amount, this person help us with his vehicle today. Let us use this 5,000 naira and go and appreciate him and return his vehicle at least with 3 or 5 liters inside, so that tomorrow when
Mm.
we come, he will still give us. This person to give us his own bike. Let's return with 2 liters. At least they give him 2,000 naira. And then this is the remaining money. You take. At least go and take suya, and then rest, so that tomorrow we hit the road again. So that has been the way we've been doing. The little we had, we spend it transparently. Everybody knew
Mm.
what we had, and everybody knew when we don't have. So it was
Mm.
easier to mobilize people to go to field.
Mm. 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 This is campaign on a tight budget. Very interesting
Yeah.
story. And what you are
Yeah.
showing is, because sometimes I look at things beyond just winning elections. I look at things in a procedural manner. I look at the process and
Yeah.
I say, this is even showing leadership from the process. This is showing leadership, transparency, accountability, empathy from the campaign process, that people can look at you and trust you. And then with how you have even managed the campaign process, if you ever clinch any office, they can trust the person who is there, because they have seen you deal with them on matters like this. Let's begin to wrap up, right? And it's very interesting. It's very interesting from the stories.
Yeah.
I'm really
I
very
can also
interested
see
in
that
the
the
story.
time is fast spent already.
Yes, and
Yeah.
we're just having good
I have
time,
not even spoken
having
about the
conversation.
election season, neither the
Yes,
post-election,
which is where I think we should go to. Tell us about the election proper, the resistance that you face, the discouragement you face, whether from family, party structures, public. What was the most difficult moment in your campaign, in the election process?
Yeah,
And yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So for the campaigns, I think I've touched some of it, initially, but for the election itself,
Yeah.
I will not lie to you. I have experiences that I won't forget. Two stood out. One, one of my aunts voted against me because they gave her 500 naira.
Wow.
And some of my relatives and people around that knew this was what she did. They were trying to even anger her. No, so you are like this, or your younger brother, all this and that. And this somebody were living in the same area. I've been supporting her children sometimes, blah, blah, blah. Say, no, it's just my vote. Only my vote will not make him to lose the election, what have you. So I had to be the one to tell them, no, they should just let her be. It is, a personal thing. There's no coercion. So she has decided to go that way. And this was just one that was caught, because there are polling units that I expected to win 100%, but I did not win 100%. That means there are those kind of people that did that.
Yes.
They were swayed by money or betrayal. And the second issue is that some people felt This guy, he doesn't have a godfather. Even if he win this election, they will not give him. There's
mm,
nobody to
mm,
stand for him. That's the language.
mm,
There's nobody to stand for him. So even if he win this election, nobody can stand for him. They will just hijack it. So we will not go and waste our vote. So the popular balance now, no, don't go and waste your vote. Because if you are
mm,
voting for this one, it doesn't have a big party, it doesn't have a government. Because the worst part of it, a week to the election, my gubernatorial candidate decamped. The declared support. He stepped down for another candidate. The then
mm,
APC candidate who was a woman, beg
mm,
your pardon. So those are some of the issues that affected us greatly during the election. And then on the day of the election, there was a campaign of calumny. What do I mean? People went about saying that I have decamped for PDP.
wow.
On the eve of the election, many community leaders, head of communities, were sat down by the people in government, because every community you have one or two people that are in government, they have small, big
Yeah.
position, they are
Mm,
the one that call the shot in their
mm,
community or what. Tell them that if you don't, you tell all your meanguas, the head of community and what have you, make sure you deliver your point. If not, your seat is shaking. This boy that you're even fighting on, this boy has already decamped. In fact, he has already decamped. He has stepped down for PDP candidate, and then they have given him 13 million naira. You are wasting your time here. The boy has cashed out. So on the day of election, people are calling me, did you step down? I say, do they step down on the day of election? Who told you? Have I made any press statement? I was not on the media, whether social media or mainstream media. So please, let's go ahead. But it was late. This was around 11, 12 in the afternoon, when people have already gone far with casting ballot and what have you. You get it. And then the second experience is this issue of polling unit agents. I had no comprehensive list of all the polling unit agents. Some of them, I don't even know them. I just gave them tag. Some of them, we didn't even know they were molds from other political parties that were sent. There are people that were on my campaign. There was a particular that I know till date was sent as a mole. Yeah, no, I'm a youth, he's a young person, blah, blah, blah. He wants to, I saw he was, exuding passion, and, I took him in. And because I'm very open with my team, every information the guy was just downloading it to the other people. So all our strategies they knew. So they were trying to counter them. So at some point, what they do is that if I want to go to a particular community to campaign in evening or what, they'll try and discourage the people not to come out to listen to me. What was it? This guy is like a wizard. Once you listen to him, there's no way you will believe him. So the best thing they should do is not to allow people to come and listen to me, because I cannot give them money. So, but they know that if you are a person of conscience, if I speak to you, your heart will prick. So all they will do to discourage people not to come. So they've used religion to malign me. I was the only Christian candidate contesting out of 6 of us. So at some point they say, the PDP people are the one, APC people are the ones sponsoring me so that I can divide the vote of the PDP, because the Christian community here and the other ethnic nationalities who are not House of Fulanis are more inclined to the PDP political parties. So they felt by contesting, I'm going to divide the PDP votes. So PDP were fighting me seriously. Again, other people from APC who are somehow tilted to, House of Fulani and Muslim population say I am sponsored by the Khan, that is the Christian Association of Nigeria, because they know to some extent I was the PRO of the Yowik and the youth wing of the Khan in my state, and they know I am a church guy to some extent, and I have a relationship, with church leadership in my community. So these are the issues, right? So this experience formed the negative ones that I had during the election season. Then the post-election season, that is where revelation will begin to come. When the people you sat down and dined and ate with, you never knew they were actually hirelings. They were actually people who were on contracts, being with you to fit the opposition with information, right? So that's why they say politics is not for the faint-hearted. You have to be strong mentally and psychologically, to do this. So, but thank God it has helped to mold us, to make us more resilient and to make us more passionate about this country, because the mess, it continues to happen. And I have seen money, sir. I had the opportunity to even sit with the governor. Not only me, though, all the contestants on the Labour Party. We sat and he was asking us to step down. Our spokesperson finished and they were trying to, gag us. That I said, no, I will talk. He said, what is this boy? I say, Your Excellency, I want to say something. I said, Your Excellency, me, I want to vote for you. Since already now my candidate has, stepped down. And my people, candidate you are fielding in my constituency can even give you a protest vote. So yeah, I know you are just making noise because you think you're the only Christian among 5 Muslims, blah, 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 blah. All this. I say, no, Your Excellency. What was it that we should step down after the election? He will find something for all of us. That the government, is too large to contain everybody, accommodate everybody. I said, this is not a promise. This is vague and this is deceptive. So I could not agree. So I was one of those few guys that refused to step down. I went to the elections regardless. I said I'd rather go and fail with my honor, and people knew that I kept to my word. I told them there is no Jupiter that will make me to step down. That was my word to every community that I went. They said, okay, yeah, young man, we heard you, you spoke well, but tomorrow let us not hear that you're stepped down for somebody, because we used to see a lot of you around. They will come and do and go. They give you small money now. You have used us and collected and cash out. He said, no, take my words. Try me first before you will do the bandwagon generalization. So that has actually, that was it.
I think there's a lot of mindset problem with electorates, right? I mean, hearing the different narrative that was flying up and down during the election period for you, it's so interesting. I began to ask myself, are votes that cheap? One vote will cost you 500 naira, and then it's a big problem. But I also like the fact that, I mean, there are a couple of lessons that you picked up from that election, that if you look back, you realize what strategy and decision worked better, than expected. And then what else you can do better and all of that. Because we don't have all the time, right? I know you lost the elections. I wanted to know how immediately you personally processed that result. And then I wanted to know how you process that result.
Great. I must confess, it was touching for me. But even before the election, I've been praying about it. I said, God grants me the grace to accept whatever happens. I think that was my saving grace. I say, whatever happens, I am willing. And by 11, 12, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, most of the polling units that were uploaded to the IRF, I was leading. And people were jubilating already. Wow. So we never knew that the magic is actually those other communities that are outsketched, where I don't have much idea. That was where the magic were done. So by evening 6, 7, when the results were coming, collating at the local government collation center, that was when the result became something else. As of 7 p.m. that evening, there is a particular community that were dancing and celebrating my victory. They didn't know that things have changed.
Wow.
I could remember there was one of my allies that we were working together. He has a laundry shop, and that was where I was using that day to direct things. The small resources that I was able to, I had a very magnanimous donor that actually sent me ₦1 million 2 days to the election. But because of the cashless policy, there was no way I could cash it. An election day, you cannot say you will transfer money to somebody to vote for you.
Yeah. Yes.
There must people you need to induce with money, or you need to give some people a logistic agents.
Yes.
You need to buy water to polling units to go and they say this person brought this water for you. So I had to camp one POS guy. That night, I called all my ward executives, particularly the chairman of all the wards. He was transferring the money to them. Let them know how some of them went and bought Omo, Maggie, so that they would go and at least tell, this is from this guy who he doesn't have much. Let's manage it and do. So on that day, I was in that shop. My younger sisters and few of my friends were sitting. We were just receiving results now. So I could see the disappointment in the face of these people. My friends, in fact, people who felt the pain of that loss were my closest friends than even me myself. Because I had already developed that, shock absorber. I told myself I can withstand this. Because the storm was intense. And there was that, you could feel and sense it in the air that we may win that election. And if I win that election, had I win that election, it would have been a record broken. From 99 till date, there had never been a Christian that won in that constituency. And even some other Muslim candidate that lost the primaries and whatever, they had to come to me and tell me that this may be your chance. We have never seen it like this before. Without a political godfather, without money, without a big party, look at how people have accepted you and all of it. So that increased the hope in you again. It made you to give everything in. So that night, I was asking myself whether I could sleep. And luckily, I slept that night. I slept and woke up, but very early, around 3 a.m. And the sleep could not return. I had to spend 3 days thinking about this. But I kept on giving myself reasons to continue, to go on.
Yeah.
So after 3 days, we sat with my team and did a post-mortem of the election. And I asked them, what else? They said, no, we're not stopping. We should go back again. Then what was our shortcoming? They said the major thing is resources. They don't care about Godfather, they don't care about political party. They say it's because we don't have money, that's why we lost the election. If that is it, then how do we tackle it? They say we should do a contribution. We should start that contribution monthly, all of us. We should have like a trust fund that we will be saving money individually every month, everybody with record, so that before the election, we'll have the money to buy form, we have the money for logistics, we have the money for all these things. We started, but I knew that time we were just, all of us were emotional. We were emotional. So we started for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. At some point, the energy dropped because life reality, Tinubu came, things hit. Everybody was hit by the reality. So everybody was struggling to feed his family. You're asking him to save money for 2027. So it was not realistic. So I had to even suspend the meeting. I let it to die off naturally because I knew if I'm going to contest again, there's going to be provision. The way I never knew where this one came. If it is really from God, he will make way for it.
Amazing. Amazing. I must commend your team. I mean, even though that was emotional, but the fact that they could even agree to say, you know what, let's do this, right? I mean, you have a superb team. I think I wish I had more time. I would have wanted us to idealistically, out of my script, so out of my following from what you mentioned about organic supporters to building structure, something that other persons who are going to listen to this podcast and learn is how can we typically convert organic supporters to structures, to vanguard. And I'm saying this because we are going to experience more of the unknown, unpopular parties, right? Experiencing or absorbing more young people. For example, today we are seeing ADC. In few hours ago, we are now seeing the rise of NDC. We would see more young people. Yeah, we would see more young people. There. Exactly. So we would see more young people throwing into these unpopular parties, and most of them would be coming with organic supporters. But again, the challenge with some of these unpopular parties is the structure thing you mentioned, right? How can you now fight against the existing structures that happens within the popular parties and all of that? But we don't, I really do not have, I wish we can wrap up with that, maybe, but I'll try to shred all of these questions together into one. Let's see how we can use the next 5 minutes, to answer that. That would be the next question I wanted to ask you. But my final question would be as the back of your reflection. If you had the opportunity to run again, what you have learned to do differently, and for a young person who is considering running for office, what is that one truth amongst many other things? That's one truth, you want them to hold so tight, and then you wish that you have known before you even started this entire journey. And then how can we now convert this? I'm saying this I'm thinking this is going to play out again in 2027, right? We're seeing a lot of organic supporters, whether from the local level to the central level, right? And how can we really just build the structure around these organic supporters? Maybe you have any suggestions or idea to share as we wrap up. That's my final question.
Thank you. The truth of the matter is, as young men, you should know what is your strength. You don't have the resources, but what can you do? Do you have very good interpersonal relationship with people? Leverage on that. Make friends in every polling unit or community that will serve as your vanguards, so that these people will metamorphose into the structures that you need during the elections. Again, the reality is the Nigerian populace are, I don't know what language to use now, but I think we have been, bewitched, right, by the political class. That poverty and ignorance or illiteracy has been weaponized against us. So we are
Yes.
not moved by the soundness of candidates or the how good or intelligent or capable those candidates are. We are moved by what party,
Mm,
which side of the country is it coming from, which
mm,
religion. At the
mm,
moment, that is our reality. Whether we
mm.
like it or not, we should separate emotions from it. It's a
Yeah.
reality. So we
Mm,
must deal with that reality. If really you have good motives and good intention, identify the dynamics of your own constituency where you want to
yes.
run. What is the dynamics? Are the voters swayed along party lines or
Mm,
ethnicity or religion? If that is it, map the power, what do they call it? The power brokers.
mm,
Those people that have the levers of power, map them. Then do your advocacy or consultation on them. Try to win as much as you could. You can
mm.
pretend blind loyalty. If
Yeah.
really you're a good person, I have just yesterday I was thinking, I said, I think maybe I need to adopt this. There can actually be a bad way of doing the right thing, but there's not going to be a good way of doing the bad thing.
Mm,
Do you get
mm,
my point? One of
mm,
my mentors actually was saying, Obi is too good for Nigeria. I'm using it as an
mm,
example because he was my principal in the last election. He said he's too good for Nigeria. I said, why? Did he say he cannot be a president? I said, why? He said, because he is too good for Nigeria. He said the kind of politics he wants to play, he cannot win in Nigeria.
mm,
So if we want to win, I think we need to deploy both the sane strategy and the insane strategy these people are using.
mm,
What I
mm,
mean
mm,
is, if we really want to get there, the only thing I will caution is that we should ensure that in the pursuit of anything in life, particularly success, just like Napoleon Hill will say, make sure that it does not trample on the right of another person. As
yeah.
long as we're not going to violate somebody's right, I'm talking about all the universal rights of any individual or group of individuals. In the pursuit of that, I think it is justifiable for us to get what we want, because politics is about who get what. Now, the truth of the matter is the means should justify the end. But at the same time, what if that is not an ideal situation? And Nigeria is not an ideal situation.
Mm,
Since we're not in an ideal situation in Nigeria, we need to follow these guys gently so that until we get there, we have the levers of power at our hands or in our disposal. Then we can, introduce those radical changes and revolution we want. But as long as we want to do it, completely in sharp contrast with what they believe and they have grown up to know, they will
mm.
continue to resist. And one thing with life is that they will continue to recruit their likes to take over them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Their
So it's
likes will man all the institutions that will make sure that you don't emerge. Their likes will be in the military, in the armed forces. Their likes will be in the judiciary. Their likes will be those who are, in the electoral, management, in the electoral management body. That is the INEC. Do you get the point? So, but when we camouflage
mm,
and go in and infiltrate, let me use that language. When we infiltrate their camp and then play the loyalty game, then get the power. If really you were a nice person, you were not just like an average Nigerian is waiting for your own opportunity, you will do something different. There are people who have done it different in this country. The likes of the Okonjo-Iweala, though she was a political appointee and what have you.
happens.
But there are people, the Dirty Baba Ahmed of this world, they were elected and they decided to do it differently. So I think that is the only way we could do, because at the moment they hold it and they are the majority. And unfortunately, the idiots, just like the Greeks would categorize three set of individuals in the country: the tribalists, the idiots, and the citizens. So Nigeria have more of idiots and tribalists. So the citizens are few. So the citizens have to, pretend as if they are also either tribalists or citizens. If your own set of the wall is, tribalist in nature, pretend like a tribalist so that when you get there, you try to recruit, you empower people now. You start to, okay, I am there. I have the access to resources. I have access to power. I can identify in every community a young man, one, two, or three of them that have these ideals and mindset. Then you can begin to empower them resource-wise, opportunity-wise, so that they can
Yeah.
also, that will have a ripple effect to create your likes and your kind. Before you realize, we will, with time. The revolution we're talking about is not a forceful one, because it's not going to be, good for any one of us. It is, idea revolution. It's the mindset. So we need,
Yeah.
ideological revolution, and it is something that is going to take time. We need to tell ourselves the truth. So some of us
Yeah.
have to pay the price, compromise where necessary, as far as that compromise does not violate or does not actually also compromise your core ideals of what you
Yeah.
believe. So it's a give and take. That's why you see the likes of Obi trying to dine with Konkoso and the other ones, because he need their votes, because he know
Yeah.
that there are gullible people who follow them for the sake of their religion and their region.
Yeah.
So he need those
Yeah.
votes first.
Yeah.
So it is not cowardice or it's not compromise. It's actually strategy, so that you can get
Mm.
what you want. When you are at the helms of affairs, it is then we will know your true color, whether you're going to
Mm.
act differently or you act the way you are expected to. So I think that's basically my thought around that.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Henry. It's been a wonderful time with you, Lenny. You're contesting in 2027, right?
Hopefully, I need I tomorrow I'll be traveling to my constituency, and
Okay.
it's going to form part of the conversation with some of my stakeholders. At the moment,
Okay.
I'm stuck within two parties, either the
Okay.
PDP or the Labour Party, for some reasons that are very peculiar to my constituency, as the case may be. So I need to go and iron that tomorrow with my constituents, and particularly my stakeholders and those people that worked for me, so that I don't make the decision alone without having their inputs and opinion, as the case may be. But hopefully I will be on the ballot, God's willing.
Amazing, amazing. I mean, thank you for your resilience. Thank you for not giving up despite the experiences that you had in the 20s, the unpleasant experiences that you had in 2023. We need people with consistent.
This is bad. I need to ask on.
Sorry, I lost my network. Can you see me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I was saying that I was just giving my gratitude notes. Thank you for the time to share. I said I was going to keep in touch with your 2027 election journey. I wish you the best. I hope that the coming election becomes the positive turn of events for you and to your entire leadership journey in the public space. Thank you so much for sharing your time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. I thank you for the opportunity and the platform to share my thoughts, and hope this will inspire people that will actually come in contact with this content. And together we shall, put in our concerted efforts to see that we contribute our little quota in whatever way we can to make this country great, so that we can bequeath it in a better way that we met it to the generation coming after us.
Yeah, that's my prayer as well. Thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day ahead of you. We'll keep in touch.
Yeah, same here. I appreciate it.
All right, bye.